Today on Your Ag Empire, we're flipping the script and putting Holly Haralson in the hot seat. She's the brains behind Empire Financial Services, a former pharmacist, a ranch wife, and the COO
Oh,
of Empire Ag.
I
So,
almost
in
got
this
a title
episode,
change.
you must have got a title change. I don't know. In this episode, we're talking about how Holly went from reading prescriptions to reading balance sheets, the story behind pharmacists' evolution into Empire Financial Services, and why understanding your numbers is no longer optional. Holly, welcome to the show. Um,
Thanks for having me.
let's pivot from pharmacy to farm finance. So let's start off from the beginning. What pulled you from pharmacy? You had to get an advanced degree. You spent a lifetime in that, it seemed. But what pulled you out of that and into the world of agribusiness?
I guess it's a long story, but I guess to make a long story short, several years ago during my pharmacy career, my husband, Jonathan, and I opened or assisted in opening up a small local retail pharmacy. We opened it up together, poured our blood, sweat, and tears into that. I don't know, it was our first, not first taste, but at least my first taste of going full bore into the entrepreneurial spirit. Really enjoyed that and loved that. But about a year into it, I was robbed at gunpoint. It was very traumatic, for lack of a better word. It was a life altering event. Someone came into my workplace, threatened me, threatened my children, threatened my life. And I don't know, my whole world shifted after that. My perspective on what I wanted to do, how I just thought I wanted to spend my time, where I was spending my time, it just changed. It just altered, like, totally.
Yeah.
I was able to get out of that situation fairly quickly, and I took another pharmacy job in a town nearby, which served me very well at the time. But during that whole process, I was just really given the opportunity to think through what I really wanted to do with my life, right? From there forward, they say that when something like that happens, your life flashes before your eyes. It's not yours, it's your children.
Yeah.
And I decided I was ready to make a change. And so that led me into, I guess, a whole lot of things happened in that period of time, but I
Yeah.
would say
Because
that was the big pivot to help me start to consider doing something different.
yeah. And during that time frame, I had started Empire Ag. We were farming, ranching, trucking. We had started Empire Ag, and Holly, you came to me. I remember that, and you were like, it's time to make it. I've got to do something different, and I've got to focus on myself. And I remember that being, from my perspective, it was a stressful point. As a husband, you're like, oh, okay, wow, we have safety, security. I don't have my business where I want it to be right now, but here comes mom. She's going to join us in this venture.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the farm going, and I think, and that's what happened, right? Is we had the farm going, we had Empire Ag going. I was starting to see the pain points of folks that you were working with. I was starting to see, not starting, we were actively involved in the pain points of our own farming operation, and internally with our own businesses and our own farm. And through Empire Ag, we were implementing changes, doing better record keeping financial
Yeah,
services to ourselves, I guess, even. And then we realized there was a hole, and early on, I started to do it just for a handful of people, a handful of folks. Honestly, it was just, I think it's just the way my brain was wired. And so I don't know. So that's where the idea sparked. And then obviously it took off from there.
what skills, I guess, to make a transition? Because we've interviewed a lot of folks across the country that have wanted to get a position with Empire Financial Services, Empire Ag. And I think it's interesting because we talk about skills not in accounting, not in bookkeeping, that can translate back into this work. And you, coming from a pharmacy background, what skills helped you make that transition? And then likewise, if someone is in another occupation, is it feasible for them to make that career change?
We have talked about this a lot. I think first and foremost, you have to have a passion for what you're doing. We said I have an uncle that told us one time, how are you going to go out and make a good living? And he said, find what you're passionate about and figure out a way to make it work.
No, let me preface this, Holly.
Okay.
Uncle Mike is successful in the big circles. I come up to him and I'm like, Uncle Mike, I want to make some of that kind of money. Well, the good kind, the big
Yeah.
money. And Uncle Mike told me in his words of wisdom, which I was totally let down when he said this, but he was like, what are you passionate about? And figure out how to make money with it. And I'm like so deflated after that comment. I was in the car with Holly on the way back, and I'm thinking that is the worst advice anybody could ever give. I know the guy's making big money. I want to know about it.
Yeah. We
Like,
wanted like the secret sauce, right? What's his secret? What's the secret sauce? Yeah. I remember that drive home and it was like, man, I wish we had gotten something better out of that.
but that's the honestly, if somebody wants to know what is the secret sauce, I think he was spot on. That was the
Yeah.
best advice he ever gave us.
I know we talk about that all the time. That was the best advice he ever gave us. Back to your question, I think it starts with a passion. Um, Mine is agriculture, like born in it, raised in it. I did seek my undergraduate degree in it. I actually had my undergraduate work is in animal science, even though I went on to pharmacy school. So I think the underlying passion was there. The desire to circle back has always been there. I just didn't really ever know what to do with that. And then I think what carried through from pharmacy and my pharmacy career was obviously attention to detail. You cannot be wrong when you're filling people's medications. Things are checked and rechecked and triple checked, and all the interactions
People,
are sought through. It's the same thing that's carried through into checking people's financial data. As
I
well.
always, guys, I got to tell you, like there's an interesting dynamic working with your wife, but a lot of times, like I see that attention to detail, and a lot of times I'm trying to speed her up a little bit because she's like triple checked, and I'm like, okay, I know we're there. It's the numbers are right, they're good. Like we got to go.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to speed me along.
That has proven, like within our clientele, they really appreciate that. They appreciate the level of detail and expertise that you've brought to the table. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, talking about folks making that transition out, though, we've interviewed a lot of folks that are working jobs, careers that maybe they chased it for the money or there was an opportunity there, but it wasn't their passion. Is it feasible for someone to get trained and go this direction towards accounting? Or are you a lost cause at this point because you're 30 or 35 and entrenched in that job? What would you say to someone that's in that role?
Yeah, I would say it's no, you're never a lost cause. I don't care what the age is. Age is just a number. I think it goes back, are you passionate about it? I wouldn't say make a move or a pivot into something you don't love, or you're probably going to end up in the same situation you are pivoting out of whatever it is you're coming from. Do I think working in the ag sector is unique? I do. I do feel like you have to have a special understanding and appreciation and love for it because it's a lot. Like I feel like it's even a lot from any angle, business strategy, marketing, financial services, whatever it is. If you're going to work marketing, if you're going to work in this space, I think you have to have a love for it. And so I
Mhm.
think that part is hard to teach, but I feel like you can make it into whatever your heart's desire is as long as you love what you're headed down and into. And I think, was it a weird and interesting pivot? Yeah, I think I've potentially talked on this podcast about it before, but definitely to you. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. Like it was hard. It was a weird and strange time in my life where I felt like I had one foot in and one foot out. And the pivot to total 180 felt really weird because my whole identity for my whole life, I mean, at least my whole adult life, had been to wear a white coat and go into that pharmacy and, be
You
Dr.
bet.
Holly Harrelson, PharmD. It was really weird. But I think when you love something enough and are passionate about something enough and you can start to see the impact that you're making, even if it's in a different way, then it's easy to keep pursuing it.
And I think it goes back to I feel like we're called to be servants, and I think you've seen that. And I think a lot of times in American culture, like we get caught up in the title, and whatever that is, that's our identity. That's who we are in every aspect of life. And I think you have proven that, yes, it's not about the title. It's more about serving those individuals and really pouring your heart and soul into whatever you're working in. And I think you have built some really big relationships with a lot of our clients.
And I
You get,
think that's speaking back, I guess, circling all the way back to your first question, like what's something that I brought along with me? And I worked retail pharmacy for all those years. So customer service, client facing roles my whole working life. And so I feel like that's just as important no matter where you land. I feel like
absolutely.
for me, that has hopefully come across in a beneficial way to Empire Ag and Empire Financial Services. I feel like people people are what make the business go round. It's not the services that we offer, it's the people that invest in us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess just being able to build relationships with people and offer them a service and help them well.
So when we first made that transition, you went from being a pharmacist behind the bench to be creating Farm Assist, and that's FARM Assist. And there was a shift in that era. For folks who've known you for a while, what was Farm Assist, and like how did it start? Like how, I mean, it was a
Yeah,
play
like
on words, and
yeah, it was a play on words. I think part of that fear of loss of an identity, maybe I needed to hang on to, to hang on to who I was and who I was going to be. But Farm Assist grew out of, yeah, like we said, me managing books, managing operations from our own personal farm to our own personal businesses.
I feel like you were doing some back office work for some of our clients also. I feel like you were.
That so I feel like working for us grew into others noticing it, like, hey, like you have your stuff together. Can you help me? And we picked up those initial first few clients, or I was just able to work with them one on one. And then all of a sudden, oh, this is a business opportunity. This is something that we can do to grow. And it did. It just grew from there. And then obviously with your consulting business through Empire Ag, fortunately there was a pool of clients to market to, and it was something that was needed. And so that's how it originally came along. Obviously, Farm Assist is a play on words, right? So me assisting farmers with, um, for me, financial services, so accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, yeah, helping set up software to make their life easier, like chat through tech stacks, like all the things. And so that's where it began. Slowly grew from there.
What were you seeing in ag operations that made you want to step in and do things different? Because you talked about that opportunity that you noticed and saw. What was that?
Because I am so detail oriented, I didn't realize that other people weren't. And so when it came down to like having financial data ready, it really surprised me working with some other individuals that they didn't have their financial data ready to go to lenders for loan renewal or for tax time for things to be clearly handed over to their tax advisor or tax professional, or they didn't even have the data ready that they weren't making good decisions off of. Obviously, that really blossomed when you started Empire Ag and we're really focusing at that time on commodity marketing. We had a lot of conversations with guys about what's your break even. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'll throw out a number. They weren't really considering
Well,
all the costs. It's really easy to think about the big ones, the seed, the chemical, the fertilizer, maybe the labor, but what about everything else? What about your insurance? What about your fuel? Are we really getting down to what your true
that's
break even is? And obviously that's where the hole was, I think, initially that we found or I found. Or
yeah. I think it was interesting because they give us a break even number, and we'd go in and we'd market for a profit of 80 or 90 cents a bushel, and you're sitting here looking at it like we did good, and then that customer comes back and says, "But I lost money."
yeah,
Like
we'd get their
how?
P&L and L, and it's like they would be negative and yeah, exactly how we planned all year. And then I know we were frustrated because it's built
Yeah,
an
yeah.
entire marketing plan. Like I feel good and I felt good about this. I say we, I guess you built the marketing plan. I just got to be in that piece. But yeah,
I think that was a pivotal shift in what we were seeing. And let's get real for our listeners out there. A lot of the farmers and ranchers, and sometimes we live on hopes and dreams. We really do, or we wouldn't be in this business. And a lot of times we do. We only focus on that direct cost budget, which we've looked at this, Holly. We've looked at it across multiple financials, and it's typically, yeah, we've got a lot of guys with break evens at $3 on corn, 3.10. Toss in that indirect cost,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden we've added 70 to $1.10, $1.20 a bushel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we do track this accurately, because it allows every piece of the puzzle to be able to be done without emotionally making decisions. So I guess when we started, like, what kind of clients were we serving in the early days?
In the early days, it was primarily farmers, ranchers, and or those same folks, but maybe they had the business in town, right? Or maybe they were selling direct, they had direct beef sales. So they were maybe feeding cattle, but butchering a couple on the side and selling personally to folks in town. Or they had another business, a service-based business in town, or some other
Stream of revenue.
spin off, yeah, stream of revenue, which we all know in farming and
What was
ranching
there?
we need.
Was there an average, like, when I think back of it, like, it wasn't that everyone was distressed that we were dealing with. We had a plethora of
No.
customers, from 600-acre farmer with a few
Mhm.
cows and maybe some feeder calves to 30,000-acre row crop farm.
Honestly, there in the early days, it was my first step into kind of ag all over America, really. It was really interesting. We're based here in Texas, and so I knew Texas ag. I knew what it looked like in the Midwest and what it looked like in other areas, but I had never dug into the books of those kind of operations. No, we had small ones, we had big ones, we had great ones, we had not so great ones. I don't mean
Um,
that by people, I mean that by organization and numbers, but no, it was a good mix of all, and I wouldn't say many, if any, were distressed, other than just ag in itself is a distressed
well, it's
thing
just a
to
small,
work
it's a,
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a small margin business, and goes in
Yes.
cycles. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it depends on what end of the cycle you're in, uh, as to where we're at. Shifting gears a little. So we were pharmacists, and then now we've gone into Empire Financial Services. From Empire Financial Services, talk us through, like, the rebrand. Why was there that transition?
Yeah. So farm assist. Yeah, it was, I think, maybe still a time when I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I kept the name and then we started to grow. It worked. It was taken off. Client load was building. Relationships were good.
Was it
And
just you?
no. So at that time, I had hired Amanda, who now serves as my director of accounting. But it was there when it was just pharmacist, it was just Amanda and I. And yeah, clients started to grow. And as that happened, we had an opportunity to actually purchase an entire accounting firm. And so we obviously looked into that, and we thought it was a good idea, and so we did it. And with that acquisition, we also brought in additional team members. So now we have, goodness, seven team members on the financial services side, and we service um, a plethora of new businesses. Are we still primarily ag and rural business based? Yes, but we have brought in some other additional businesses. And so I just thought at the time it was good to pivot or just rebrand, I guess, from pharmacist to Empire Financial Services, since we were able to serve a wider client base. And um, I don't know, I just brought in a really excellent team along the way. I feel very blessed that all of that worked out the way that it did, because I don't feel like we would be where we are and continuing to be where we're going without them.
Oh yeah, they are great. It allowed us to bring on a group that one, I think we were new as far as the way that, from a management style, the way we do business, our clientele. I think for a lot of our employees, they really got their eyes open to a whole new way to do business, and it's been fun to watch them evolve, and they've done such a good job with making that transition from pharmacist to Empire Financial Services. What stayed the same and what changed?
I hope what stayed the same is I feel like our ultimate desire and impact in what we do is to make an impact and to change people's lives, whatever that's through obvious, good, clean numbers so that they can make good business decisions, so they can be tax ready, bank ready. That has stayed the same. I feel like our ultimate goals have stayed the same. What has changed is obviously different client. We have a different clientele now. We have a different client list. It's broadened our base of the businesses that we serve.
Mm.
Obviously, our bread and butter is still ag and rural ag businesses. Yeah, I don't know. I
It's
feel like it's a lot the same, but it is different as well. And through that process, we've really honed in and tried to start streamlining our systems and processes and efficiencies and just being better. And it has allowed us to be better with growing our team to do things better and to get better folks aligned with the right person on our team. And I feel like that's been a really good move we've been able to make. And I
I,
hope and pray that
I
the
will
client
say,
experience is still is really good. Yeah.
I think that's what's been really neat to see as we bring on new clients and knowing each one of our employees' personalities and being able to match them up with those clients that are like kind and you think they're going to flourish. And it's nice when you hear that back. They're like, hey, I love working with this new person that you sent me, or that new
Mm,
person's, I really love working with this person. I think it's been fun to watch that and see where they flourish. And it helps everybody. It works on both ends.
yeah. We just went through our first quarter kind of reevaluation of core values, mission, vision, all the things. And
Hmm.
something that just really came out through our team meetings was we're building relationships, not client lists. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the heart of what we do. And even in Empire Ag, Empire Financial Services, and anything that we do moving forward, at the end of the day, it's building relationships with people so that we can best serve them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't. I would rather have a client for life than us churning clients every year. I don't want that. I don't want us to go through that. And I
Yeah.
think everybody on our team feels the same way.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Have we had our bumps and bruises along the way? 100%. Acquiring another firm and bringing on that many clients and new team members has definitely presented its challenges. Unfortunately, things don't aren't always roses, and so we've had our bumps along the way. But I feel like on the other side, we've learned and grown from it and come
And,
out
and
better.
if you're in business, you're going to have that. It doesn't matter what business it
Yeah.
is, and that's just part of the cycle. I think it's great. Let's look here. So, what does Empire Financial Services offer today that farmers and ranchers can't get anywhere else? What makes us special?
Honestly, I think it's who we are. Like our business was built from needs that we had, like needs that we had and needs that we saw in others. We are farmers, we are ranchers, we are rural agribusiness owners. We live in small towns. I think we understand the lingo, we understand ag. I feel like,
We feel their pain.
yeah, I feel like in the financial services world, unfortunately, it is a bubble that's missing in people that really truly understand what's happening out there in rural America or in the ag sector. So I feel like we bring to the table uniquely like our knowledge of what they're going through and how to provide those services. Now, what we do, accounting, keeping books and payroll, could others do that? Sure, they could. And they can, and it happens every day. But I feel like we just bring a unique lens, a unique perspective. One, we care. Two, we know what's going on.
We
And
see so
three,
many
it's going to be
operations,
checked how many times, Jonathan, before it goes out the door because it's
probably
never fast enough.
5 or 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think too, what I've seen is we're not trying to rob everybody's business all over the U.S. I think there's a place for us to come in and take care of the accounting, create an environment, a record that like you can be proud of taking to your CPA, and it makes their job easy. And I think that's where it's a cohesive environment that I've seen that sometimes doesn't exist in that financial services world where
I
some
wouldn't, yeah, I guess I speak like, I don't know, like maybe we are not the only ones that know how to do ag by any means, but it's that relationship, but back to that relationship building, not even with the client, but with their CPA tech professional, with their banker. I want it to be easy for them to reach out to me to get the information that they need on behalf of the client. And then they know what they're getting is useful and good information.
absolutely. So, what do most ag families get wrong about their books or their financial systems?
I guess foundationally, fundamentally, is the majority of them don't even have them. So I think just getting started, I guess, what did they get wrong? It would just be that they just don't have any. I have found that even with
Well,
large farmers, they just didn't have a good set or a good grasp on their numbers. And so I feel like that's a really hard question because I feel like many of them are trying though. Like they're trying, they just don't
yeah,
know. You
they
don't know
want
what you
to.
don't know. They want to do it. It's not everyone's favorite thing. It's probably not most people's favorite thing. And so I think it just gets put on the back burner, or it's something I'll do later, or run my backs up against the wall and I've got a deadline, that's when I'll do it. And I get that. I get that it's not everyone's favorite thing. It just happened to be something I was good at and took it and ran with it. And I hope I have served in a way to help alleviate that pain and pressure for those folks.
I think you have. One thing that I think is interesting is as we've worked with these clients from California to South Carolina to Pennsylvania, all through the Midwest, everywhere, it's been interesting because the chart of accounts are not, for us being in the
Yeah,
same business, I think
yeah.
one of the biggest
There
pet
is
peeves
no yeah. Go
that
ahead.
we can see is the chart of accounts.
Yeah, there is no universal chart of accounts for sure. And each ag operation is unique in that I probably don't know two that do the same thing unless you're a Midwest big corn farmer. Honestly, I probably don't know two that do it the same way, even at that. And so
Yeah.
it is unique. And so, yes, when I open up the first set of the books, if they have them, it's been wild to see all the things that show up in there. But yeah, so obviously, our first step, if we acquire a new set of books, is to go through a deep diagnostic review of the books, clean up the chart of accounts before we even get into any type of categorizing or reporting or any of that those kinds of things. The information is only as good as out as what you put in. And so you have to have a good way to organize it and structure it in order to get good outputs.
Absolutely. What does financial strategy look like when it's actually working?
So I feel like when it's working, we're setting clearly defined goals. Got books cleaned up, got reports out. Holly's checked them 5 times, as Jonathan has said, and we're putting into plan some type of goals, quarterly, monthly, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for the individual person. We're meeting frequently to talk through it, address any issues, address scenario planning, working and utilizing the tools that we have on our side, like Figured, which we can get into if we want to. But what does it look like? We're in communication, we're talking about it, we're talking through it, we're planning accordingly, and we're pivoting and adjusting as we need to.
Wait a minute. Are you saying like these accounting and this books, like it's not just for taxes?
Not just for taxes. And it's also can be proactive. I find that when we're doing accounting for taxes only, we're very reactive, right? Like, how
Sure.
many times have we gone all year long and we're sitting down at the kitchen table with a box of receipts or a spreadsheet or our bank statements, and we're just line item coding it and putting it to each category on our Schedule F or however you file.
Mhm.
It's very reactive, and we're just getting it done to get the taxes filed. I think when it's working and working well, we're being very proactive about it. We're looking at the actuals as we go, we're forecasting ahead of time as the actuals come into play over the forecast. How did we do? How are we doing? Are we headed in the right direction? Do I need to make a pivot? Do I need to make a change? If it's working and working well, I think that's what it looks like.
I feel like you're the foundation in the advisory role. I just I think back, like if you've got the financials set up and then we feed that into Figured, then it gives us an opportunity where, like on the marketing side of things, I've got a baseline where we can figure out, like, are you making money or are we not above break evens yet? Like, how can we sell something? When you hear all these marketing professionals like sell corn, and we were at 397, that's great. The sky's falling, sell fear, but they don't know what each operation looks like from a financial standpoint. And as crazy as it sounds, we can be a Midwest farmer in North Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, and everybody's break even growing the same crop. It's way
Still,
off.
yeah.
There's so much variability in that. And it's been interesting to watch that and to watch that evolve. And I think our role, like in that accounting, and I think your role has really helped in being that foundation in a lot of aspects for me to
Yeah, no,
go help.
I know we've talked about building it backwards, right? Because we built the consulting service first, we did, and then it's like we found the gaps or we found some holes, and
Yep.
we tried to fill those. And so, yeah, I do feel like if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have that knowledge to calculate that break even, then how are we going to consult to make you better? How are we going to make your business better if we don't know those break evens? And to be honest, that's what sent me down, if I want to squirrel for a minute, that's what sent me down the rabbit hole of finding the tool like Figured, which I know we've spoke about before on here. I needed a way. Ag is unique. I can't
Yeah,
look at,
it is.
honestly, I can't look at our accounting software and figure out your break even. Not well, not truly and honestly. I can't just look at your books like in your accounting software on a calendar year and figure out your true break even because our farm years, our crop seasons don't happen on a calendar year. It's just not the way it works. We found a tool like Figured that helped us calculate those true crop break evens that span different calendar years, right? Or was a fraction of a calendar year and allowed us to find a true break even for those crops, a true profitability summary for that crop season. And then I was able to punt that over to you so that you could make a good marketing plan for these guys. Now that's where it was all born. Obviously, there's much more that we do now that's beyond that, but I feel like that was the foundation that we built upon. It's
And
just
ag finance is a big piece of that now
mm,
with Figured. We're able to not only have the marketing plan, but we're able to build out the ag finance piece when these guys are going and looking at renewals.
about like the break evens a lot on crops. We also have the livestock gross margin we can figure out in there. How profitable are you on a per
Mm-hmm.
head basis? We can do cash flow and budgeting. We can just do that. We can do scenario planning. So let's say you want to go buy 500 acres. Does it make sense? Can I make it work? We can do scenario planning in there.
Or,
And then, or just back to what you were saying, just get me some bank ready financials,
yep.
bank ready financials. And that has been a huge piece of what we're doing and what you're doing. Because if I pull a balance sheet out of QuickBooks, I'm not saying what I have done is wrong or what my team has done is wrong, but valuations are not necessarily always correct because it was based off of a purchase price however many years ago. And so we're able to pull those in, do some like market value balance sheets, some accrual adjustments, get some good financials out the door for for you or for the client or whoever to take to the lender. So we call it bank ready financials so that you can go out and get the lending that you need to keep moving forward.
We've talked about like within this, and sometimes it can be daunting, this accounting and bookkeeping. But if someone was to work with you, does this give them confidence in the numbers? Does this give them, rather than just a napkin that they've jotted down direct cost and all these what ifs, working with your team, having good, clean financials, does that give them some confidence to build the business, to actually work on the business?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I would think so. It gives me confidence, even in my own, in our own. If I know where we're at, if I know where we're going, then I have full confidence. And so I feel like I have felt that
Like,
coming back. We've made big decisions, or we've helped people make big decisions. We haven't made them for them. We have helped big decisions, helped with big decisions for folks based off of the financial data that we've given them. And so I hope in that they're confident in the outputs that are coming to them so that they can make those.
yeah.
And I feel like I've seen that through movements of the directions of their farms, their ranches, their businesses, so on and so forth.
So we're going to shift gears a little bit. Working side by side with me and the Empire Ag team, you wear a lot of hats: COO, lead financial strategist, a new brand launching this summer. Your mom. What keeps you grounded?
You said you weren't going to make me cry.
Ah,
I don't know. I think it all goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. Like, I think not every day is shiny and rainbows, right? There are days that are hard and have been hard in this. But I think the reason I do it, right? You and the kids,
we help keep you grounded.
yeah, giving me a purpose and a reason. Like, obviously, something we didn't touch on was the flexibility that this provides.
Yeah. And I think too, like after the robbery, I think I'm glad and excited that we were able to create that opportunity for you to work on yourself. And sometimes that's looked down upon, but I feel like there were things you needed to unpack, there were things you needed to work through, and so that we could get you back. And I'm not saying we get you back into pre-robbery, but we get you back into a new you, into a growth and a building a new and revived Holly. And so I'm excited in the things that you've done and that space has allowed you to grow.
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning of this, we said it factually and we brushed over that there was a lot of hard days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's okay though. Life is more about the journey than it is the ending, and I think a lot of times we all focus and skip over the journey. And those are growth days, even though they were hard. You look back at it, it seems like forever ago, but it really wasn't when we get to calculating. And I think it's encouraging though because I know there are listeners out there that are having tough days or have had tough days and they feel like they can't get on top of the business. They can't get on top of who they are as an individual. And like Holly said, that's what we have focused on is to help you and to help you get over some of that. And so there's that growth phase that we've got to get to. And the good days are to come.
Yeah.
And
I think as far as keeping me grounded, and we've talked about this, I had to do a lot of work on me, like mentally and physically, just
mhm,
in order to show up to be a good relationship manager, financial services provider, mom, business partner. We even talked about it as recent as this weekend
yeah,
that I'm so thankful I was given this space and time to work on myself so I could be better at all those. And even though I'm emotional now, like I'm emotional in a thankful, grateful, happy way because
absolutely.
I have come out of the other side of all of that and am a way better, stronger version of myself than I was before.
Absolutely. What's been the most rewarding part of building this team and serving producers through Empire?
That's a hard one because there's so many good things. All the relationships I've built with everyone, like the clients, the team, like the people I've gotten to meet through this. I realize I love where we live. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't realize what a kind of bubble we were in. And even though we have wonderful people that are here in our community, they were really the only ones I knew. That was my whole circle. Um, Especially day in and day out professionally. Like it was really
Mm.
just with the team I worked with was 4 or 5 technicians and another pharmacist, and then the clients that I served through the pharmacy, which obviously since I worked retail, it was just here in our home
Yeah.
county. And I've just really enjoyed and valued getting to know folks from all over the United States, business acquaintances, like people we've met just through the business, and then obviously the new team we've been able to acquire because our team isn't just down the street either. Our team is all over the US as well. And so it's been interesting and fun to navigate those dynamics. And then a unique challenge working with your spouse, but also super rewarding that you get to build something together.
I think I'm pretty easy to work with.
No comment. Just
Everybody,
teasing.
everybody's
Just
laughing
teasing.
now at that one.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. So closing questions, Holly. Where can folks connect with you and learn more about Empire Financial Services?
Of course, on our website at youragempire.com. I think there's a backslash financial services in there. You can hunt me down there. I'm on Instagram at Holly underscore Harrelson. And then, of course, Instagram for at Your Ag Empire. We're always throwing financial tidbits out there. And then, of course, podcast. Please continue to tune in. I'm sure I'll throw some financial tips out your way as they come.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Holly. I'm glad you took time to be on here. And what better person to interview than your husband? I think that was pretty good. So thank you for listening to Your Ag Empire. If this conversation made you rethink how to manage your business side of your farm, pass it on and hit follow, because we've got more real talk and resources headed your way. Be good or be good at it.